So, are you ready?
Yeah, now I am.
All right. So, for my TED Talk, I'm going to be covering electronic cigarettes. Next slide. So, we all know that the tobacco industry makes millions of dollars per year on cigarettes. And I'm sure all of you know that cigarette smoking is very hazardous for the general populace. We know that it causes heart attacks, strokes, and cancer. And the medical community agrees that people who smoke tend to be more unhealthy than people who don't smoke. So how do we get smokers to stop smoking? Well, electronic cigarettes seem to have some practical implications for smokers. Next slide. So electronic cigarettes have been considered in recent years to be an alternative for tobacco cigarettes, and they're marketed as being healthier and having less health risk than tobacco smoking. Next slide. So what are they? They're electronic battery-powered devices that simulate the act of
Try a hand signal, Josh, I'm sorry.
Smoking tobacco. Invented in 1963, and they went on the market in 2003. And since then, they've been popular in smoking culture and for those who are trying to quit tobacco. And they're very widespread in the U.S. They're very easily accessible in a number of stores, places like convenience stores and gas stations. Next slide. So they work by heating a liquid solution of nicotine inside a cartridge cylinder. And so what happens is, as it's heated, vapor is formed. And so the vapor comes out of the end of the cartridge, and it's then inhaled by the smoker. And so it resembles a traditional cigarette in size, weight, and shape. So it's a good sort of decoy for a cigarette. So next slide. Because they're so new, there haven't been any long-term studies on electronic cigarettes that have been done yet. So we don't know the potential health risks that they might pose yet. We know that they contain much more nicotine than a regular cigarette does, and we know that nicotine is very poisonous in high doses. And there was actually a study I found that said that there have been 29 instances of nicotine poisoning in Sweden from electronic cigarettes. So we know that it has the potential to be hazardous. Next slide. So the World Health Organization, which is the world's central health organization, has issued an official declaration that states that consumers should be strongly advised not to use electronic cigarettes until a reputable national regulatory body is found to be safe and effective. So we know that the data is inconclusive on electronic cigarettes, and that they aren't recommended because of the potential health hazards that they pose. And there are a few studies. In fact, that there isn't a lot of studies on them. It makes it hard to tell either way. Next slide. So yeah, there are studies that go either way. I found studies that said that they can help smokers to quit, but those are usually controlled studies with they're short term, and the general consensus is that they're not a long-term option for smokers to quit. Next slide. And the FDA regulated them until 2001, but after that they stopped because they decided that you couldn't tell what the effects would be because there aren't any studies, as mentioned before. It's legal in the United States, and in most other Western and industrialized countries, they're also legal. such as places like the UK and Canada. A country that doesn't allow them is the United Arab Emirates, but I couldn't find a lot of countries that ban them. Next slide. So, I'm proposing that we do more research on electronic cigarettes so that we find out if they have any viability for smokers, and we can see if they're a good option or not, and if they're not, we can move on to other smoking cessation methods. And I feel like it's important for us to keep an open mind about how to treat tobacco addiction, and we should do more research on electronic cigarettes to see if they're viable or not. And looks like, yeah, that's it.
It's not tobacco, it's just the vapor, right?
Yeah, it's vapor with nicotine in it. Yeah.
Question. I actually don't know if you know this, but you know how there are places that say no smoking in this building or whatever.
Yeah.
Does this apply to it? Because I was in.
No, it's not covered by tobacco bans.
Oh, okay.
There's separate laws for it.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I read on your slide that it said that they were invented in 63, but
Yeah.
they didn't come on the market until 40 years later. Why is that? Or do you know why that would be?
Yeah, they were invented in '63, and the inventor didn't patent them until '67, and they weren't sold on the market until 2003. So they had the idea for it a lot sooner, but it just wasn't being sold.
They just decided not to put it on the market?
Yeah, he just didn't want to sell it for whatever reason.